Good evening. Welcome to another cast of VRML Breachers. Today we'll be having an exciting game. It's going to be between XIIX, or we're discussing a lot in the pre-game chat. I believe it's 18, technically based off of a research paper, but let's not get into the details here. We'll get bogged down. My name is Knights of Jerky. Sorry, that's the other team. They have no contention about the name. It's pretty straightforward. My name is Martini. Today I have Plague Doctor and Ashima Marui. Yes, we are going to be doing a triple cast because we're all available. And why not? I got to get that practice in. But anyways, how are y'all doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Got a lot of work done today. Got a lot, working on a few things. But making time for cast, always got to make time for it. I believe this is my 20th of the season, so that's going great. How about you, Shimmy?
Very nice. I'm doing pretty good. I'm eager to see Frostbite's new team, 18 or XIIX, however you want to be. We were going to pretend that the research paper didn't exist, Martini, but here you are, just giving away all the secrets.
I gotta acknowledge secrets. You can look that up on Google. That's probably what you did.
We were gonna pretend it didn't exist.
Yes,
so
but I had to acknowledge the team is technically now wrong in a very technical way. But anyways, that is besides the point.
He's just
anyway, we're on cows. We don't need to go into this. Anyways, I totally forgot to mention something I'd seen 3 days ago. Apparently, the clone projector was approved to be utilized in cast. I think Plague, you're the only one that has seen it technically in cast. Have you seen teams already utilizing it? Do you think it's changed anything about the game in a substantial way, or just kind of another tool to use?
I was talking about this with Nightfire yesterday on that cast. We saw the teams using the clone projector right now, it's a really nice time to start using it because there's not really any meta spots for clone projectors. So teams can get working on putting them in spots that are going to be good peaks where people aren't expecting a clone. We saw it on Arctic. It was one of the maps where, you know, that lean peak on bottom floor in the hallway outside of the B point where everyone rushes in, there was a defender who put a clone down on a lean peak and then waited right next to it. So as soon as someone shot at it, they threw a nade and took one down. So it's really important to get some good placements. Clones have already been used quite a bit. I'm excited to see how they're going to, you know, teams are going to adapt to the clones over the rest of the season.
I can kind of see it going the way of kind of trip mines, right? Where there becomes these meta spots, but because they're meta spots, people kind of know where to expect them. So it's this mind game of, do you put them in a meta spot or in a weird place, or do you potentially combo it with something like a smokes grenade or something like that, right? I've seen that used to such great effect where someone has trip mine spots, smokes pretty early on, so the team can't really see it or hear it, and they go in and obviously die to a trip mine. I will say it's a little different though, right? With clone projectors, it's more about getting, I think, intel and preventing a death, similar to a I think drone can kind of function, right? That was kind of an advantage that a lot of attackers had, where drones technically is a free life without intel, where clones can now kind of provide that. Because personally, I've seen clones used very well, I think, defensively. Have they been used offensively well? I don't see them quite as well on the attacking side. I'm not quite sure about that.
They have, but an important distinction with the clone, you know, with other defensive or offensive util, clones cost $400. That is a huge chunk of change. That's 2 nades, that's 2 trips, that's almost 2 proxes. That is just a little bit less than like a door blocker. You know, it's a lot of money to spend on a bit of util that could get taken down by a stray nade, by someone just shooting at the base of it. And, you know, it's something that you have to be really careful about your usage. You can use it like a trip where, you know, you have it in a hallway, you bait the enemy out. However, it can be used as a double-edged sword. If you know there is a player watching that clone projector, you can creep up after you see it, because the clone projectors, they aren't infallible. They aren't something where they look exactly like a player. They shimmer a little, you know, they look a little bit not real if you look hard enough. And so you can use it to your advantage. It's something that you have to be very careful about your placements. You don't want to waste $400 on something that's not even going to give you any advantage.
When there's a lot of it's an extremely versatile piece of util that you can use, especially I'm sure you've seen a lot of people in ranked utilizing them as just the puck only, and then standing on top of the actual projection itself to sort of lure people into that, oh, it's just a clone. I see the thing. It's not moving. It's just a clone. And then that person pulls out their gun and domes the person right in front of them. But also just using it as, for defenders, like you were saying, just putting down a clone on a meta peak and then using an off meta peak. Whenever they shoot the clone, you just immediately pop up, shoot them. I feel like for offense, though, it's mostly useful for that post-plant situation, or if you're feeling like there's a risk of a possible run out. Putting down a clone that's just going to be sitting in front of a door. That way, if somebody opens up a window and does a run out, you can then grab them as they shoot at the clone.
I feel like
it's a piece of the util that has so many different use cases, and I mean, we're going to see this thing evolve in its utility all the way through the season, probably even in the next season.
Yeah,
I don't think we're gonna find a meta very soon.
I think that's the one thing I'm kind of like curious to see if it does develop on the offensive side, right? You mentioned the post plant, but that's difficult, right? You would need to maintain this utility until the very end, potentially, of a round, which, you know, most people, they're utilizing, I think, most of the utility towards the half, maybe even 3/4 of the way to the round. So it's kind of curious to see how well. Oh, okay, looks like they're gonna be starting up pretty soon here. Did they get all 10? No, it looks like we will be going in a little bit early. So unfortunately, this will be a 4v5. But hey, it looks like we're going to have to be going right in a little earlier here. But that's totally fine, as it looks like we'll be starting on the map Hideout here. And Hideout, you know, one of those maps we always say bread and butter, right? Bread and butter of Breachers here. And how do y'all feel about seeing them start off on Hideout?
Tried and true map that everybody has played. It is the most played map in Breachers. This is as even of a fight as it can get. Just again, everybody has played this map, especially a lot of both of these teams are stacked with players that have been around since Season 1, Season 0.
How do you feel about the offensive versus defensive sidedness of this map, right? People tend to say it's more on the offensive side, but as we've seen, the longer and longer the lifespan of this game goes, people know how people attack. So I've kind of seen that ebb and flow. Do you think that's still the case, or does it really depend on the team skill still?
It absolutely still is the case. There are just attacks that are so meta and methodical that everybody knows, even if you know how to counter it, just the positions are more powerful for the attacker. For instance, Garage, it's even though people know exactly where everybody's going to peek, it's still easier to attack Garage than it is to defend Garage.
Yeah, totally understand that statement here, as we are getting started right into this map here, getting started in this Garage. Bug already going in for the breach pretty soon here. It looks like Igarashi trying to get a little itchy to come out here on this hallway and get a shot pretty soon as he going for the swing and get the stop, but unfortunately not enough, as Marumi still survives that one, but Great gets the shot off already.
Batimo behind the countertop trying to get some shots off in a Garage. Doesn't even get a hit. Twin Cities behind the bomb. No one behind the countertop, meaning Bug is able to rotate in if you want to. The drone is still up. There's no information denial here from 18. So they're trying to keep these players out of the point. Actually, a bottom both teams currently. More even spread. Marumi trying to get through. I believe Great Death Reap did kill his teammate so that he could get the EMP from the body. Health advantage actually belongs over to barely over to KOJ. Now that with their teammate getting even lower, it's going to be now in the fort of 18. But Great Death Reap takes out, oh my goodness, Great Death Reap takes out Twin Cities. Spoon gets taken out by Ismaniko on the other point. Now it's just Itoshi who has to block off 4 players from entering his point.
Yeah, looks like Great coming in here pretty soon. They do get the pick off, and that's going to be rough, as Itoshi not able to respond, unfortunately, here. And I mean, talk about a very definitive round here coming out from Knights of Jerky. 4 players alive against, you know, no one, obviously, on the XIII, the 18 side. Let's just say that, so it's a little easier. It's looking a little tough already here, Shimi.
It is looking a little bit tough, but I mean, that was a disadvantaged round. They had a bot. They had somebody lose their life a little bit early. That first 18 member that decided he was going to run out and peek out of the garage door didn't do so cleanly enough, and of course immediately paid for it. That man disadvantage just led to a cascade of loss of life. It's one of those unfortunate circumstances where one single mess up leads to another mess up, leads to a horrible situation that you can't really recover from. Having that one last person in that 1 versus 4 situation, I would have been impressed if he had made it out, even with the health losses on a lot of those KOJ players. It's still a 1v4.
Yeah, a little tough for them making that entrance for the Knights of Jerky a little bit, but they had a great entrance in the end. Unfortunately, that defense just couldn't quite hold them back here, but we'll see. You know, 18 does have the rest of this round, and again, we always say it's only pistol round. We got a lot more time to go here as we do get started into this upcoming round.
Talk about Great Death Reaper managed to pick up a 4K on the last round. I didn't even notice because they're so spread out, but a 4K on pistol round is really nice. You know, that's a great bit of money that's coming in as well. He's able to get an Omen and still have over $2,000 left. If he wanted to, I believe he could have gotten a Vezin or a Marui, but I think going for the SMG save will work out a little bit better. Seems like we're going to be seeing a pretty standard A push here from KOJ, trying to push up to the wall to blow it. One player who is rotating in the back to watch the flank from back hallway, but we're about to see a push in. Igarashi seems to be wanting to push out. Dark Raven takes down Spoon. Igarashi pushes out, takes out 1, gets taken down by Bug. And we're seeing only 2 players left on 18 getting pushed in on an A. A lot of utility getting dumped into the points so that the EMP can go down. There's no more throwables from 18, so they have to do with what they have.
Yeah, this utility has definitely been a one-sided battle here as Knights of Jerky getting, I believe, almost 2 or most of their kills with that utility here. So Toshi's going to, again, have to be holding this final round here. Sorry, this final person alive here in his 1v4 again against the Knights of Jerky. And it looks like these players are all set up for this close kind of situation. But no, it looks like Itoshi does pick up Great Death recap on the back there. It looks like they're bringing another one here. It's Monaco. They do pick up the second one. Can they go for 2 more here? That health difference might be a little bit too much here as time is slowly counting down here. I think, you know, they might just go in for the save at this point because, I mean, that was so much health loss in the end. Looks like they go rotate out and decide to go for another area, probably for that save, and that's exactly what I expected to see there.
Yeah, no, taking that stim and go is probably the good move. You know, Shimmy, with that push in from Knights of Jerky, we saw them pretty aggressive with the utility. Do you think they're using that to, you know, a good potential, or do you think they could use it a little bit better to dump it and to keep players out of the point?
Well, they utilized their util for both displacement and kills. It just happened that 18 wasn't exactly getting out of the way of a lot of it. For instance, one person dying to that instant and the other person dying to the nade. Their util did its job. The placement was still pretty dang good. It covered all the areas it needed to. It took the lives that it needed to. Gave them an immediate 2v5, especially with that third loss of life on 18's side. And I will say that Itoshi did make the right call making that save. I mean, another 1v4 situation. What are you going to do? He did get a stim. He got out of there. He got a couple picks on the way. Not a bad thing at all. They do have time to recover as well. It looks like now they're up on that 5v4 since we have one disconnect from KOJ, and they finally have gotten their 5th player over on 18.
Looks like these teams are definitely struggling to get all 5 players in on both sides at the same exact moment. So this is going to be the moment for 18 to really push this pressure forward and hopefully get a couple more rounds in the pocket for themselves as they do have the advantage. But again, Knights of Jerky is attacking themselves. They really get to dictate how these teams attack and how they push here. Twin City's already getting shot off on, it looks like the bot there, so not too big of an event. But it looks like, I think Frostbite, I'm not sure who the 5th player was on the 18 side, but it looks like they did finally get in here, as it looks like Knights of Jerky trying to get a push in the third shoot here, as Frostbite already starting off with a great pick here against the Knights of Jerky players.
I think KOJ, honestly, KOJ got a little bit lucky that the bot was not accompanied by human players, because they left A completely open. That could have ended pretty badly. Regardless, now that they have all of their players in, you know, bot Jordy's down. Ismaniko seems to be trying to maybe push over to A or just watching the B wall. We're seeing a hatch play over from Bug and Great Death 3 now pushing down the stairs. They might get caught out by Itoshi, however, as Itoshi is watching this hallway very carefully. Ismaniko takes down one with that Marui. They're about to have an encounter. Reap does not check his corner on the hallway. Might get refragged. Itoshi manages to back up, but does not turn around. Bug has the EMP. Will he pursue Itoshi? They both throw their nades. Now they're down. Ismaniko takes down Igarashi. Suddenly, it is a 2v2, and looks like an incendiary goes down a connector. Might take out Spoon. Spoon nearly gets taken down. 4 health. Down to a stim. And now EMP can go down relatively quickly. This was a fantastic retake from these 2 KOJ players. That Marui came in clutch in Ismaniko's hands.
Yeah, I'm surprised they got, I think it was a 2-3K almost potentially. Looks like they're going in for the last one there, and they do. Oh, no, never mind. That's an ace coming out there. And that's a beautiful, beautiful pick there in the end for the KOJ players. Let's get a little quick replay because clean ace there in the very end. I mean, what did we see that previous round, right? It was Monaco, or I'm not sure how to say their name. Did get a good couple picks several times throughout the round.
I mean, we saw them playing longer shots, longer angles, right? 18 was at a weapons disadvantage. They had majority omens, maybe a couple rifles. So Yzma was just able to sit there. 18 just kept ego peeking, trying to get that pick, trying to get their shots onto Yzma. Never got him. So Yzma just had control of the entire map as they just slowly whittled down the entire life of 18. A really unfortunate circumstance, especially when you had that situation where Spoon went to go help Itoshi, who had just lost a lot of health, and they got stuck in that connector. There was not much they could do. Yzma could have immediately reswung after going into cover to grab them, which did happen onto Itoshi as they tried to push Nico. Of course, Spoon just ended up running into somebody else from KOJ, and that is how it ended. Or sorry, not... They came back out, and Nico was watching it, and that was how it ended.
Yeah, I totally thought it'd be a round that would be going the way of 18, right? There were so many close calls there in the end, but KOJ, in the end, able to really make it work out for themselves. And again, this is what we talk about tenacity with these teams. Can they still be down, but not quite out there, and still make something happen? And that was a beautiful start. Beautiful end for them in the end there. But we'll see Frostbite playing a very aggressive in this garage. They're trying to get an early pick. Already getting a flash on the face here, so it looks like Spoon there for the backup gets the pick off on Dark Raven, and it looks like they're still holding down this garage for the time being.
We do have a clone coming out from KOJ, bit of an odd placement, and I feel like we had 18 immediately identify that's a clone because they saw it and did not shoot. Yep, they've seen that's a clone. Now they shoot it. I'm just wrong. They maybe didn't see it before, but clone did come out. It didn't do too much, however, it does let them know there's someone still in garage. Currently, a very B-central defense from these 18 players. Only one player over on A. This could not work out. Itoshi does hear the push-in from Ismaniko with that Marui over on A, but if they're not careful, they could get pushed in on. It's very important for these KOJ players to check their corners. If they don't check their corners, they're going to get taken out by a little sneaky peek. We've seen this happen a few times for the KOJ players where they go in, they don't check their corner just like they just did. Oh no, and we didn't have our gun up and got taken down. One player down, 3v5, trying to push straight into A.
Yeah, looks like Maru trying to get a pretty good shot into here, but looks like Itoshi again getting some early chip damage on the end there on the KOJ players. Maru getting a pick off on Itoshi. Now only 4 on site there at this point, as it looks like KOJ getting a pretty set up here to get this pushed in. Great death, just a lot of chip damage and a lot of blind firing happening right here as they are trying their best. Without going in for the swing, they got the pick off on Igarashi, but Spoon themselves going in for the swing. Can they get one on the back end there as Marumi gets another pick? Now coming down and just Frostbite. And this is what I'm talking about, right? We see a beautiful start, I think, for the 18 players, but not quite a beautiful ending, as KOJ has been a little bit flexible in their approaches here. And it now comes down to just the shoulders of Frostbite. Can they hold this one down? As Great Death goes for the swing, gets the pick off in the end. And it is, again, a rough ending for the 18 players. But I will say, now with all 5 players in, it's looking a little bit better per round. But still, the scoreline's going the way of KOJ.
Right now, KOJ is just making sure that they have good control over anything that they actually commit on. With them opening up all of the walls onto A, sure, they tried to probe B a little bit, didn't quite feel it, so they rotated over. But once they started getting those picks onto A, putting themselves at an even and man advantage, they were able to push in, and 18 just wasn't able to respond, or did not respond correctly. They kind of just came out of the connectors without actually checking, and they absolutely paid for it as they just kept getting domed coming through those doorways. Unfortunate circumstances. 18, maybe they didn't quite warm up correctly yet, but I'm hoping that we see them get a little bit more engaged into this game. Let's see. I know these players. I know that they can do some pretty dang good stuff. So I'm hoping that we see them lock in and bring out either a really good attack half or at least a good next 2 rounds.
Yeah, well, we got to say, right, it's still the attacking half. This could look a little bit differently. It could be a side difference for the 18 players, right? And for Hideout, I would not be shocked if that were the case. But it's crazy to see how close he gets to winning, and it just doesn't quite work out in their favor. It looks like we are going to be seeing potentially a B push here actually developing, as right now it's just a Toshi on site. They'll be seeing an approach pretty soon as Dark Raven does get the pick off, and yeah, and the breach is coming out live now. So I'm assuming the rest of the team is coming on to B pretty soon here. And it looks like we might be seeing a plan pretty soon.
Martini, I'm getting pretty sad. They're running. Itoshi was running towards that door with his gun down, so he just got, well, not to say it, but gunned down as he tried to push up. Now we just have Frostbite and Spoon trying to get this down, and Marumi takes out Spoon, Bug takes out Frostbite, and we are already at a 5-0 lead. That was a fantastic quick B push, but I'm worried, Martini. I'm seeing them run up to these doorways with their gun down. You need to be ready to have someone pushing if you know they're actively in that back hall.
We're just not seeing good pre-aims right now. I mean, ultimately, they're ending up in strange positions. They're letting KOJ have way too much control of the map. They're letting them kind of just decide, okay, well, we're going to push this. We're going to go over here. We're going to go over there. They're not doing anything to counter necessarily. They're just kind of free-flowing inside of the map, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Do you
they're
think
they're not quite fighting for that control.
Do you think it's more of a where they're sitting? Because they are getting the picks, right? 18 is getting these picks. These rounds getting a little closer in terms of player count, but it's still not quite working out in their favor towards the end.
It's so much that it feels like they're almost playing 5 individual players, more or less, as opposed to as a team. If you watch KOJ, they do have multiple people stacked together. They have multiple people covering each other's angles. For instance, you saw Marumi and Dark Raven watching each other's angles as they entered in for those final 2 kills. We're just not seeing that from 18 right now. If they can get that, if they can fix whatever's going on with the chemistry, they'd have a lot easier time dealing with KOJ.
Good information denial from Frostbite on storage. I think it's that the KOJ players do have to enter this storage blind if they want to get through. However, we're not seeing too much of a utility push. Frostbite here could get a good nade out or a good incendiary down, which may knock down these players. Currently, there's not much in the way of utility flying out, which may handicap them. We do have a Knut play from Igarashi and a clone at the back of the storage, which might help out with attracting these players' attention, especially as we do have storage hatch blown. They drop in, shoot the clone. That does give Frostbite some time, but he's getting pushed from 2 angles. Suddenly, Ismaniko takes on Frostbite and Igarashi. It's just Spoon and Atoshi. Spoon is alone on point, gets taken out through the wall breach. Now it's just Atoshi who drops through the hatch and gets taken down by Marumi.
Oh man!
Again, you're just,
no,
that is
you're just not
crazy.
seeing that chemistry, that coverage. You're not seeing. You're watching KOJ, for instance. They had 3 people drop that hatch while one person was swinging the wall, while another person was probing the door. They were able to cover all the angles that they needed to in order to get control of storage. We're not seeing that level of teamwork right now from 18, which is really punishing them. KOJ managed to just wipe out 4 people within the span of 20 seconds because they were just everybody was stacked together, everybody was covering each other's angles. Excellently well done. That is the reason they have that 6-0 going into the defensive half. Let's see if 18 can get this figured out and give us one heck of a show.
Yeah, I was shocked, right? We had seen, again, an okay thing going on right there, but 18, I thought that they were going to be able to hold down storage potentially. We saw Frostbite kind of holding a certain position, and I thought they were going to be able to be ready for it, but, I mean, Yzma, doing such a good job in the end, right? Able to swing at the same exact moment with their teammates and getting, I think it was a 2-3K themselves, and it's just impressive to see KOJ just work so well together. And I think those community votes were on the side of KOJ by a good margin, and it looks like those voters definitely are feeling a lot better right now as this game is working out in the favor right now. But 18, we'll have to see, right? This is finally them on the attack here. They could change things up. They can change the momentum here potentially. But I will say a 6-0 shutout is going to be a huge hill to climb right now, as any erroneous random round will lose them this current map.
Martini, I want to talk about the lack of throwables. We only have a single incendiary to deny the plant over on KOJ, and only a flash just gone out. There's no throwables left on 18, but they don't have a ton of time. If they get in there, the incense going on, that's 10 seconds down. It's not 15, but it's 10. Bug is rotating in from behind. I feel like 18 needs to move quickly as Bug takes down 1. Twin Cities is trying to push up, covering the flank as well. Igarashi is in the point behind the bomb. KOJ is set up pretty well. They still have an incendiary. I wish they had a little bit more in the way of utility. They had money left over, but it looks like they opted for a static or 2. Bug's rotating up. Spoon is heading to his team. Right now, 18 is on a bit of a time crunch. If they can get the EMP down, they'll be able to swing it in their favor. But if they wait too long, they're going to let KOJ get better positioning.
Yeah, it looks like already getting shot here from Dark Raven, as it now comes down just to the 2 players on the 18 side. And you made a great comment earlier. Utility, I think, is a big differentiator from these 2 teams. KOJ, when they attacked this same exact site, the biggest difference is they got, I think, 2 or 3 utility picks before they even made a push in here. And I think we're seeing such a conservative push right now from 18 because they're scared, right? This is 1 round left before they lose, so they have to play this perfectly. But the biggest problem with that is you play too scared. You have such a long drawn-out round like this, you're going to lose potentially anyways here. As it looks like Twin Cities finally tossing the EMP over. That was so much dead time by the time they finally got that EMP planted. And it looks like we are going to be seeing out the utility, but it doesn't quite land. But Rumi does go for the swing, and Yzma on the back. And this is credit to, I think, the KOJ players. I see this coordination with Yzma so many times where someone's pushing on one side, Yzma's putting on the other, and it just works perfectly, right, for the KOJ players. But it looks like they will be winning out this round for the first map. I mean, what did y'all see in this previous matchup?
KOJ had some fantastic patience on that last round I want to talk about. We saw 18, I believe, if I'm seeing it right, they were waiting for the KOJ players to get a little impatient to push up towards the bomb, and they could pick them off one by one. But KOJ knew time was on their side. They could wait until 18 started planting, and they showed that restraint beautifully. How about you, Shimmy?
They did play, both on their attack and their defense. They played smart. They didn't overexpose much. They played as a team. That's really what it came down to. They played meta, they played time, they played teamwork. 18, unfortunately, even in that attack round, you could watch there was no coordination, no sort of teamwork happening. Frostbite was in ready for the site while 4 people were still sitting on the hatch by about the 2-minute mark. Minute 30, you had people just starting to come in, and then the wall blown when only 2 people were even near it, while the other 2 were still sitting on the hatch area. It was just kind of a mess that ended up costing them the round, costing them continual picks, and ultimately leading to that final 2v4 that they were stuck in. Especially having one person sitting in the corner of sight and the other person having the EMP for an entire minute, doing absolutely nothing with it. You had every opportunity. You should have figured out at that point that nothing was going to happen. You could throw the EMP to them, get the plant down, and force them to make a decision.
Yeah, definitely rough right there.
We're just seeing a breakdown in communication, I think.
I know, I'm not shocked. I mean, we can see that in the gameplay, right? So many times, even with the player advantage, didn't quite work out for the 18 players here in the end. But anyways, looks like we'll be back, and we'll take a quick ad break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, and we'll get started pretty soon here.
Prepare to start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. And somebody's here.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match phase.
Okay,
work it.
then-
All right, here we go, guys. How are we doing? I mean, we're back from the ad break. You know, some people had to use bathroom breaks, but we won't discuss who. It's one of us three, obviously. Anyways, no one's gonna make a face. Wow, you guys, good poker faces. Good poker.
It wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Giving out private information like that, seriously?
Dude, you could have said it wasn't me. No one would know. What the heck?
Hey, you didn't, I mean, you didn't
I'm
bring
gonna
the
fess.
can into the
I'll
bathroom.
fess up
so
to
it's
it.
fine.
I'm not embarrassed about it.
I am kidding. I'm
Okay.
kidding.
Martini, don't
I'm
trust
sorry.
him with
I want to
secrets.
give Shimi such a hard time right now, but hey, we are going to be pushing forward. Looks like these teams choosing obviously a map favorite here. We're going right into Dam pretty soon here. And how do we feel about Dam? Right, it's such an interesting map. I've noticed again these teams tend to choose. I feel like back in the day used to always be Hideout, Factory, and then like some random map. But like we don't quite see that anymore. You know, with the use of two different bands, it really. We see a lot more variety, I think, and I see a lot of Arctic, Ship, Dam all the time now. I love it.
Well, we'll say Factory was banned.
That makes
and
sense.
Mall was banned. So we
No
can't
love
see
for
those.
Skyscraper? No love for Skyscraper. Wow.
Well, Skyscraper doesn't really get picked even if it's not banned. I haven't seen it too much during this season. I'm very sad to see all the Mall banned. So I think more teams need to be playing it because you need to have that in your repertoire. Even if you just do that in scrims, it would be really useful. But if you don't play Mall at all, you're gonna get blindsided if you have to play it at one point, because right now teams are banning their weak map. We saw Valor do this last season by banning Hideout. They're banning their weak map rather than the other team's strong map, and that can come back to bite you. If you just ban the map you don't have experience on, you're going to just really handicap yourself later in the season when you're going against stronger teams.
Yeah, looks like already off to a chaotic start here, but 2 picks already coming out from the KOJ players. And it looks like A-Team playing so split. 2 players on the back end, 1 on site here. But the EMP is already planted. His Frostbite gets knocked down by Greth. What am I saying, Greth? I said that so wrong. Scrap Rat. Oh my goodness, I can't read anyone's name right now. Scrap Rat getting another pick off on Yzma there. And it now comes down to just this 2v3 here for the 18 players, but it's still gonna be a little challenging here, as Scrap does have to go for the swing here. Itoshi gets picked up by Marumi, now leaving only the 1 player left here, but the timer's counting down, and it doesn't matter, as KOJ does finish it on their own terms here.
Jimmy, what did you think about those cross angles? We saw these KOJ players covering each other's angles really well.
I absolutely love to see it. Great post-plant setup. Marumi just sticking inside of the corner right next to the typical plant wall while he had 2 people covering him from the model. 18 is doing the same thing that we were seeing previously. A lot of lurks, a lot of roams, people just playing individually looking for kills, and they're paying for it because right now, even all the way from entry, from door, all the way to model, we saw KOJ sticking together, making sure that they're covering each other and just punishing anybody that decided to peek. I don't want to see us do another 7-0 runaway, but if this continues, if 18 can't start covering each other, can't start playing together, this is going to be another quick map.
Part of me
Hold
wants the
on.
14-0. I've never casted a 14-0, I think. I don't think I've ever done that.
You don't cast enough matches then.
Actually, no. I'm trying to think. Even like the craziest like imbalances, like someone gets a random round, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I want that for the 18 squad. That sounds so bad to say on cast here. I'm just saying it would be a first for me. But I don't want that, obviously. I want 18 to come out of this, getting at least 1 or 2 rounds in the pocket, or maybe even winning out map 2 here, because history is still undecided for the point being. But it looks like already some chip damage coming out here on the KOJ players. But that's a deep frag coming in on Frostbite. And talk about beautiful frag coming out there from Dark Raven, and Marumi themselves already picking up another.
Martini, you can't be casting the caster's curse right now. Come on. Give him a
Sorry.
little chance. Igarashi takes down Ismaniko. Scrap Rat's down on the point, so is Twin Cities. Igarashi's upstairs currently. I feel rotating down a point might be a good idea now, especially as EMP's going down. You know where these players are going to be. Scrap Rat trying to rotate out, trying to get any picks off he can. Marumi is pushing around to the doorway, trying to get any picks. This is a great post-plant setup for KOJ. They have multiple players covering each other's angles. We're seeing, Shimmy in these between rounds has been talking about how we're seeing a lot of 18 players playing separately, playing just for picks. KOJ is playing as a team. It feels like almost playing a team against maybe somewhat of a comp stack. We're playing individual peaks rather than together. However, we did see these players rectify that a little bit. Igarashi and Twin Cities are peaking together. Scrap Rat is pushing up with his team. We're seeing them fix their mistakes a little bit. Scrap Rat takes down Bug. Dark Raven takes down one, but then Marumi and Dark Raven are surrounding him. One on the back, one on the front, and that will end up finishing out the round.
We did see them give an effort to actually rectify that. Had it not been such a powerful post plant, then they probably could have actually gotten away with that. It's just the thing being where KOJ had planted it, they don't have to touch the site at all. They can absolutely back off into that hallway, completely spread out across the little angled hall on top of the main hall, and just find really, really ratty places to sit. At that point, trying to disarm that EMP, you are visible to so many different spots that it just 18 kind of was in a losing battle with that. Even, especially with that man disadvantage that they had with the 3v4. Just, that is not a post plant or a plant that I see very often, just specifically because it's so easy for you to peek if you're the defenders to stop the plant mid-plant. However, nobody wanted to peek it. KOJ covered the plant really well to make sure that that planter was safe, and as you can see, it's not fun to try and deal with if you're trying to defuse.
But even, and also, you know, again, utility would have paid off in spades for 18. Instead of having to peek it themselves, they could have just thrown an incen or a frag and solved that problem, made the players back off, but instead they had to push it themselves. So KOJ got a great advantage. Now we're seeing possibly an A push from these KOJ players, ready to push up towards the wall. Bug, Ismaniko, and Marumi are all looking to push in towards A. Meanwhile, Great Death Reap has cleared the hallway outside. They know they can push up. They know they're more clear than they were before. They're able to get formed up on the wall. The downstairs roam is a dangerous one for Igarashi. He has a long way to run to support his team.
Yeah, definitely a challenging pushback for here from the 18 players, but we'll see if that roamer does come into value here. But Marumi already getting shot off on Frostbite there, and another one off on Scrap Rat. Look at this plant situation already developing so well for the KOJ players as they do get the EMP down once more. Ismo getting another shot off, and it comes down to just Itoshi and the random roamer there. Maybe they'll get some value though, because I don't think the KOJ players are going to be expecting them in the end. Itoshi goes for the swing. They get picked off themselves. And talk about, you know, things going wrong. And that is a flawless victory there by the KOJ players. And I mean, we keep saying this time and time again. I hate giving a team such a hard time on their play style here. But you're right, 18 really just is not clicking right now. And we're seeing the exact opposite of KOJ. It's just melding so well, right? We're seeing this kind of perfect team play right now against 18.
You're watching people go straight to their post plant setups, straight to where they need to be. Everybody has a dedicated position that they are covering. Whether that's pre-planned or whether that's just organic, it's fantastic. As you watch Marumi call that there might be last person might be a flanker, and then just immediately punish Igarashi for it. Like, they are doing such good executions while 18's just still trying to go for gunplay, still trying to go for shots and kills, and just not paying off, because as you watched, they all congregated on that upper portion of the server room and just got bottlenecked, got taken apart by util, got taken apart by just blind fires and pre-fires. It wasn't a good mix.
Yeah, I want to see something come different here. I want to see something different from 18 here, as they've just been struggling to get one round. Think about it, we're now 2 maps in, not a single round coming out from the 18 players. I'm hoping this is a different round at this point, because KOJ, I mean, we got to give them credit. They've been doing a good job.
Have talk about this after the round, but we do have a top floor roam from Itoshi, maybe trying to get a kill. They do, I believe, pick one up on stairs. Meanwhile, Marumi is trying to rotate in with the rest of their team. We're seeing the roam actually work out for 18 this time. They do take down a player, but a great nade from Frostbite gets a 2K. Onto the back hall, takes down a Vezin and an Aril pickup, as well as the EMP is down, as well as a stim. Frostbite takes Ismaniko, 3K, possibly a 4K potential as Marumi pushes up, but takes out Frostbite, takes out Twin Cities. 3v1, Marumi's at 4 health. I would almost grab a stim and go.
Yeah, I don't know what to do at this point. They've been doing such a good job. They got the 2K in the end there, but it's still a 1v3. Other players on the other side, they have assault rifles themselves, right? We see Igarashi, we see Itoshi with their own Vezins at this point. So Marumi would have to play this perfectly, and I'm inclined to say going for the save. It's about a minute left. It's fine. They have a good amount of utility and a good gun on them. Marumi right now, there's not nothing to not focus on here. But it looks like they might say, hey, I'm gonna go. I call this an ego play because they're gonna play this one out here to see if they can get another pick here or potentially a win here.
I don't know. I might grab that second stim. You're at 3 rounds up. You can afford it. Maybe trying to get a pick, but I feel like ego pushing here with relatively even guns might be, unfortunately, a little bit down. Marumi might be going for the plant. Itoshi and Scraprat are formed up. They know where he is. Hopefully he checks his corner before putting his gun around the side. He does!
What?
Takes down 2, 1 left. Marumi tries to push up, tries to take it to Igarashi.
What?
The ace!
What?
Oh,
Who
what a
wrote the script for this match?
Beautiful play by Marumi.
What?
They're going to keep that goose egg sticking on 18's side. In that specific circumstance, they had so much money just sitting in their pockets, KOJ did, that they could have absolutely lost that round, lost everything, and still bought everything they could have possibly needed in the next round. I don't blame Marumi for trying for that, and as of course you saw, it completely paid off. I will give it, 18 did actually play together this time. However, they stacked up a little bit too close together, which gave that collateral 2K to Marumi, putting that into a 1v1 situation, which I guess Marumi just has the better gun skill. And,
Yeah, definitely.
or just the better idea on timing.
Definitely
have a
not
bit of an
what I
update.
expected in that round. Just wanted to give a quick notice, guys. Sorry, my Breachers client for some reason decided to shut down, so we are losing this game real quick. But I'll pull us in as soon as we can. So we'll be talking here. But how do we feel about that previous round in this current map, y'all?
I do have a quick update. Spoon from, I believe, the first map just left XIIX. So we did have, unfortunately, a teammate leave, but I believe that's why they dropped a player. They had to get one in to replace him. Maybe something happened technically, but we do have them trying to get in. That last map, you know, it's just not last map, last round. They played together. 18 had a great idea, but just the clutch from Marumi was not expected from me. You know, I was a big proponent for him just grabbing the stims and leaving.
I call that an ego play, to be so frank. But
Oh,
you know,
yes.
as much as we can dunk on them for making those decisions, when it works, right? And that's exactly what we had seen in that previous round. Sometimes it works. I would not tell a team on average to do that sort of play. He's getting another pick. Oh, 2K in the end there already. And this is, again, beautiful placement from the... Oh my goodness, a frag on top of that. Only 2 players left now, and it's only them. Never mind, scrap out in the end. Off of side at this point. It's a 1v4 retake as the EMP has been planted down. And again, just unfortunate circumstances for the 18 players. It's gotta feel like you're playing against, like, what is it, a Sisyphean feat? Like, you're pushing a rock uphill, and it just constantly doesn't work out in your favor here.
Oh my goodness. You know, Shimmy, EMP's down. It looks like Scrapper might be going for a roam. I don't know if you saw, Shimmy, that nade that came right in between Frostbite's feet from that box. That was beautiful. What do you have to say about the utility from KOJ?
I mean, they're landing their nades. They are putting it exactly where they need to go. Like, we've seen very little usage of util from 18, except for Frostbite making that nice 2K nade. A lot of the rest has not been very beneficial. A majority of KOJ's utility has either had a purpose of dealing damage, getting a kill, or blocking off, and they've achieved it almost every time that they've thrown something. Again, we're just watching 18 not paying attention. I don't know if the atmosphere is just bleak over there and nobody wants to really fully lock in, but we're just kind of watching KOJ waltz right in, get kills, and then get that plant. Like, Scraprad really had no other option but to back off and save. He's not winning that 1v3. I mean, Marumi could have went for that 1v3 previously just because there was nothing to lose. He had so much money in the bank, it didn't matter. But when they're just sitting with next to nothing in their wallets, 18's gotta save what they can. Like, right now, they've managed to get mostly full buys, but that next round, if they lose this round, next round, they're screwed.
Well, this
Also,
is the final
I would-
round.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
If I'm Scraprat, I'm buying a Marui or a Vezin for Frostbite because he's put in some great work with those rifles or maybe some utility. Right now, only 2 throwables, just 2 incendiaries over on 18, and then mostly rifles. They do have a stim, but not much else. They might just downgrade my weaponry on one of them in order to get a lot more utility. You see Scrap Rat on the last round has 2,600. That could have been all of the nades on their side. That could have been the new clone projectors that are now legal. That could have been door blockers. That $2,600 could have gone towards a lot of utility for their team, but now it's just kind of sitting in their bank account. It's going to get reset next round. Maybe it's just they're just a little down on their focus. Maybe, you know, we've seen it's hard, you know, for teams if you're going to be down a good few points, even if you're down just a couple, to get your mindset up. Itoshi pushes out, not even caring, into the incendiary, tries to push out, gets taken out by Isbaniko. You know, I'm talking right in the middle of this, but action going through. Great Death Reaper outside the door. Martini, they're trying to push in. Do you think they can get this push off with only 3 players?
We got to see something develop here. Looks like they are getting a lot of chip damage. Dark Raven themselves, though, getting that beautiful S-tier frag on Twin Cities. Now a 3-3 even play. And never mind, as I say that, they got another pick here. Barumi deciding to go in. Potential for the swing here. They got the pick. They got the 2K in the end. And oh my goodness. Talk about 2Ks of a game here. We've seen KOJ not just get a 2K. We saw an ace, right? And I love seeing aces come out here because it just does not happen in this game. But I don't know. I want to see 18 get around. I want to see 18 get around, man. Like, I feel I want to see this. I want to see something develop here. But you're right. I think, Shimi, I'm wondering, you know, is the morale just too low to make something work out of this at this point?
I think the morale is weak right now. I think there's arguing going on inside of 18 at the moment. Like Plague Doctor called this out. Scrap Rat had 2,600. He previously had 3,200. He had enough to bail Frostbite out from having to run an Oriel and give him a Marui or a Vezin. Instead, he forced Frostbite to run that Oriel, bought no util. They could have used so much of that money either from Frostbite or even just from Scrap Rat to get team utility, and it did not happen. I think this lack of chemistry has evolved into an argument that's possibly happening because we're also watching people walk by without ever reacting.
Definitely challenging on the mental here. But you're right. I think a big marker of team play and teamwork is buying utility, buying stuff for your teammates because you have the extra cash, especially because, you know, as Plague mentioned, it's the final round. Like, you don't need to hold. There's no point in holding out that cash, right? So you might as well play it here. But KOJ has been playing such a great game here, and I'm wondering, can 18 do something on this potential final round here, or are we gonna be winning, seeing a series end pretty early tonight? I mean, this will be a very definitive win too. 14-0. I haven't seen a 14-0 shutout in a hot minute in my casting career.
Yeah, and Marumi, I don't know if you've noticed, Marumi is sitting at a 12.0 KD currently. A nade takes out one, but they get the frag. Frostbite takes out one with his nade after he gets taken out by bugs. We have a, 4v5. However, KOJ is down on a good bit of health. Sorry, 4v4. KOJ is down on a good bit of health. They can't get this off. Igarashi needs the EMP inside the point. Someone needs to push it to him. We do have a flank possibly from Dark Raven. It seems like a bit of a risky move. We saw 18 doing this. We talked about this before. They're right now so far off point, it's going to be hard for them to get to point in time in order to cover their team. Igarashi does get taken down on the plant. The Twin Cities takes out Dark Raven on the flank. Suddenly, it is a 2v3 favoring 18. However, they need to get a player in the point plant. There's no throwables from KOJ. They have to push up to deny the plant themselves. However, 18 doesn't know that. They don't know that they can just push up. They think maybe there's going to be an incendiary, maybe a nade. So they might be worried about that. EMP is going to be going down. It's now or never for this KOJ stack. 2 players left facing against 3. Post-plant situation from 18 looks relatively strong. Twin Cities is watching the back hallway. Scrap Rat is watching their crossfire. Meanwhile, Itoshi is on the stairs, not helping a ton. Marumi pushes around, does get taken out. And 18 claims their first round. Martini, you got what you wanted. Maybe putting a little bit of the cast.
I could see it. I could see the universe from the palm of my hand. Apparently, as they finally, out of 14 rounds, we saw 18 finally get something, scrounge up something here. And hey, as much as we might talk about performance, I will say sometimes one round is enough to really switch with the momentum and help that mental. And I'm hoping we see that here, Shimi.
Yeah, I mean, we did finally see some teamwork coming together from 18 over here. They did do a pretty good post plant. It took them a minute to actually get that down. We didn't see perfect coverage coming out, so their original planter had died. However, we did see 18 recover from that, get that plant, and take out Marumi. And I believe it was Dark Raven was the second one. I can't quite remember the exact second person that was alive. However, they pulled off a really good post plant defense. So maybe we'll see them come a little bit more alive. They've got one heck of an uphill battle to do, but I'm here for it. I'm here to see if they can do it.
Yes, and we are definitely here to see the same exact thing here. As hopefully we can see KOJ win this one out. But 18, hey, I would not be shocked if this crown jump a couple more rounds for themselves into this upcoming round. Looks like we are going to be seeing a quick push here pretty soon, but a very wide push, or very wide push by 1 and 4 players attacking on both sides. As they go for the flash, they do get the flash there. They're going for some picks here, and the Frostbite does get the pickup in the end. But they are going to be holding this one down. Somehow, something's going on with 18 because they just switched it up and got a flawless victory in the end there. Wow. Wow.
Maybe they just needed offense.
This might be a side difference.
I mean, they did a blitz play right there. That was very different from what we saw previously. Granted, we have mostly seen them on defense so far.
That's true.
But
we got a huddle.
That is sort of that aggression that I would come to see out of a gold or diamond play, and it worked out. They managed to clear that site extremely quickly, take all of the KOJ people by storm, by surprise, and get that plant down while also getting all the kills. So let's see. Maybe they are here for this fight. Looks like we see some chemistry finally coming back. We saw that big old go team. Let's see if they can actually bring this back. I would love to see a 6-6. I'm still a little cautious to commit to saying that it will happen, but we're seeing some life coming back into them.
We do have, Shimmy, you do have a fan in the chat. LMK, let me know, is saying, hi, Shimmy. You got to say hi back.
Hi, LMK. Jesus Christ. He's an OG buddy of mine.
We're seeing, again, the downstairs roam from KOJ. They're on the complete opposite side of the building. They can't really get to their team in time if they're not careful. Split push from 18. 3 on hatch, 1 on the other hatch. Frostbite coming in on security very quickly, trying to get some picks. We saw a blitz play work out very well for 18 last time. It looks like they're trying to commit to that again. A push looks likely as Ismaniko is behind the bomb. Great Death Reap is, hedging his bets on connector. We're seeing a setup for a push from these 18 players. Ismaniko inside the point somehow doesn't get seen by Frostbite. Nade goes out. We'll take Ismaniko down relatively low. Hit markers will go out. Igarashi's deep in point. Backs out. We're seeing kind of a bit of a soft push from KOJ out into the point, but then 18 pushes in, takes out Ismaniko. Nade goes out, takes down 1. Side difference, Frostbite takes down Marumi. Itoshi takes down Butt. Flawless again from 18. Were they just sleeping before this?
I guess their alarms went off. They finally woke up because now we're seeing some gunfights coming out. This is more what I was expecting of Frostbite, who was a member of previous teams like Olympus and Indomitable. I was very shocked to see the team doing this bad so far, but it looks like they finally woke up. We're seeing some heavy aggressive plays. We're seeing Util finally going out. We're seeing crossfires. KOJ getting caught in some of those places where they do make small mistakes that they should get punished for, but they weren't previously. For instance, again, like just the same way that 18 did get punished on that top floor, upper part of servers, bottlenecking there is fatal. We saw KOJ bottleneck there, and they got absolutely torn to pieces, as they should. So we're halfway through. We're halfway through this offensive half for 18. Let's see them take it all the way. It's still a hard battle, but they have the eco to back it up right now.
Part of me thinks,
I'm worried
is the
for
script
KOJ.
Yeah, part of me is like, is the script, that 18 just wanted to wait until they got almost 14-0 and decide, let's just lock in, guys. Let's just lock in here and push this one all the way through here. But anyways, looks like 18 already starting off with the drone in hand, trying to get some intel here on the KOJ players. But it looks like KOJ playing a little more conservative this time around. Most of the players are in and or around site at this point, playing a little different and probably learning from the last couple rounds, as 18 has been doing a great job at pushing them finally. As again, we had seen such a different 18 play on map 1.
I'm worried for KOJ Martini because we're seeing their guns that they bought. They bought a Marui, they bought a Vezin, another Marui, but they might nickel and dime their way to a loss. They bought a lot to be down in this many rounds. If they lose this round somehow, they're gonna be, you know, just really starving for any money they can get at all. Meanwhile, we do have Igarashi pushing with a Vezin, now fully in the point, gets taken down by Great Death Reaper, evening up the numbers a little bit. 4v2, potentially match point for KOJ if they can just clutch this out. A 4v2, favorable numbers. Twin Cities hopefully checks his corner. Does not take out Dark Raven. Now he does. 3v2. Heavy gunplay needs to happen from KOJ to get this off, as they have one player with an Omen. They get taken down health quite a bit. There's no stim on KOJ, unlike 18. 18 can wait this out. They have a minute. They can wait for the stim to recharge and go for the plant. At this point, KOJ is out of utility. It is purely gunplay from them to get this off.
Yeah, KOJ does have the numbers advantage, but you mentioned that health advantage is not looking quite good here. Yzma goes in for potential swing. They got the pick off in the end there. Now leaving down just Itoshi, as this might be finally it. No, they got the pick. Can they get 2 more here? We saw a couple 2Ks and 3Ks earlier. This isn't impossible, but 30 seconds. It's 30 seconds on the clock here, so it is going to be slowly counting down here, as they do have to decide how to navigate this room. Potentially going for a couple more picks here, but Marumi's going to be waiting off the side, and it looks like Great Death Reap 2.
Just be patient here for KOJ. Get the refrags. Get the refrag. Oh, Marumi didn't stand up in time. He could have got the refrag for his teammate. Itoshi will not be faking this plan. He's going straight for it. Marumi needs to move up if he wants to get this off. Stand up. Take him out on the door. Itoshi has the chance, and Marumi just not playing the refrag for his team. We've been complimenting KOJ's teamwork this entire thing, but he did not get the refrag. However, he does get the frag to end the match, but that could have been disastrous for KOJ. We saw Marumi waiting behind the box, ready to refrag, and they just didn't stand up to help his teammate. We're seeing his hands shaking quite a bit. But regardless, Martini, that is going to bring KOJ to the series win.
Woo, talk about chaotic, right? For a minute, you know, seeing how well 18 performed, how many times they had. I think it was 2 out of those 3. It was two flawless victories, maybe 3, I forgot. But it was beautiful, decisive wins. I'm thinking maybe they decide, let's lock in, and we might have seen them honestly push their way all the way, you know, to a overtime. That would have been kind of insane, you know, work here, and an insane script on top of that. But unfortunately, didn't quite happen in the end there.
No, it did not. I mean, that was a hard-fought comeback for Itoshi. He almost secured that for his team to push them into the 10th round, or sorry, 11th round. But as luck would have it, it did not go that way. Well done on that very, very last portion. 18 did show off their gun skill, showed that they could actually hang and play. It just a little too late. Unfortunate, but I think we got a pretty decent game out of that second map.
Yeah, any last words coming out from you, Plague Doctor? Otherwise, we might be signing out pretty soon.
Hey, overall, well played from both teams. I think KOJ just showed a clear lead in team play. Other than that last round, I'm a bit, you know, I already voiced my thoughts on it. But overall, KOJ played together very well. 18 just maybe needed to, you know, get their teamwork up just a little bit. They did have a player leave mid-match, which is a bit rough. But, you know, they can get it off. I look forward to seeing how these two teams play in the future of the league. For now, I think that's going to do it for me. Unless you have any last words, Shimmy. Go ahead, Martini.
Otherwise, if
I think I'm good.
But before we sign out, I did want to give some quick shout-outs. Forgot to give them a little bit earlier in the game here. But anyway, shout-out to one of my personal favorite sponsors, Triangle Factory, for providing us with the game we love. And, of course, for supporting Season 4 of VRML. And, of course, HyperX, offering some great products like the high-quality HyperX Quadcast S and great peripherals for computers. And, of course, if you have not been paying attention, don't forget VRML Con 2025 has been confirmed for Phoenix, Arizona. So if you'd like to meet all of us in person or join any of the tournaments, head online to the VRML Con website, and of course, make sure to grab your tickets. I believe all 3 of us will be there, so y'all will definitely see us at VRML Con. But anyways, thanks for coming out and watching another VRML Breachers cast here. We appreciate seeing you all here today. And of course, remember to subscribe and leave a like. It's greatly appreciated for the channel. And hopefully we can see you all in the next cast.
Breachers VRML is brought to you by Helga, the esports manager, Triangle Factory. Thanks for watching VRML.